Hey, coaches. What's going on? What's going on? Listen, I wanted to jump in and see who I can catch on this fantastic Tuesday evening. I have not had the opportunity to jump into the community and go live, so I figured I will go ahead and see who I can get to join me on tonight. So let's give it some time. Let some of the coaches come on in. You ladies know the routine. Come on in. Let me know what type of coach you are. Let me know whether or not you are aspiring or if you are growing. What type of coach you are. Let me know whether or not you are aspiring or whether or not you are growing. Come on in. We're going to talk about the ideal client, right? So we are already in September. Can you believe it? Can y'all remember back in March when the pandemic really kind of took over and we were all scuffling and shuffling and trying to figure out what was next? Like, this was just in March and we're now in September. Well, we're still trying to figure out, especially when it comes to school. I just went up to my kids' school today to go pick up some of their materials and their Chromebooks, but we're still trying to figure it out, but we are already in September. So listen, while we are entering into the final quarter of 2020, we have to enter into this final quarter with a plan. Okay. I don't know about you, but I am trying my hardest to, to make sure that I am entering into this fourth quarter. We still have October, November, December. We still have a 1 month before we enter into the fourth quarter. But I want to make sure that when I'm entering into this fourth quarter, that I have my goals, my financial goals, and I'm going to reach my goals and my plans to reach this goal. So I want to know in the comments, for those of you who are joining in, let me know how many clients do you want to connect with by the end of December? Right? I know we all had our 2020 goals. We all had, we could see much clearer in 2020. We had all of these plans, but we know, how many of us know, the good old saying that when we make a plan and we tell God our plans, how he'll laugh and say, well, let me show you mine. Right? So let's go ahead. Hey, Jill, come on in. So you ladies know that I'm so used to talking with my hands. Do y'all see my hand? My poor hand. I have been MIA because I was stung by a wasp on Saturday. I was sitting in the garage, minding my own business, reading my book, right? Minding my own. And all of a sudden, a wasp invades my personal space and then considers me a threat and sting me. At first, I jump up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get, I'm running because it stung. So I'm running in the house. Nobody's paying me no attention. And I saw where it stung me, but I'm like, oh, I'm good, right? I'm okay. It was starting to swell a little. So I was like, okay, it's cool. I went to bed Saturday night, woke up Friday. I'm like, whoa, my hand was looking a little strange, right? It was like way much bigger than what I thought. Later on, it had gone from this small, still swollen hand to this ginormous Professor Clump hand, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go to the doctor. And if you know me, I'm not going to the emergency. So I'm like, we're gonna have to wait until my doctor is in the office. So I finally got to my doctor's office on Monday, and they gave me a steroid shot because it was an allergic reaction. My whole hand was about this big. My fingers, I couldn't move them. Thank God I can move my fingers now. But it was an allergic reaction, so I did have to have a steroid shot. So I got the steroid shot Monday. I had clients scheduled Monday. I couldn't do anything. When I tell y'all, I came home and went to sleep, and I probably didn't wake up till today. Like, it was a wrap. So I'm finally kind of pulling myself together, which is a good thing. But I wanted to jump into the community on this fantabulous night. First, just to kind of play around with the time to see how many of you I can get to show up with me on at 8 p.m. That's for number one. But for number two, I really want to share with you how to start focusing on your ideal client and what are some things you can do to make sure you're clear on your ideal client. So who is your coaching programs for, right? Do you know who your coaching programs are for? Is it clear to you of who your ideal client is? Are you still struggling with identifying who your ideal client is? Is it clear to you, of who your ideal client is? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you are crystal clear. I am well. Thank you so much, Sandra. Let me know in the comments if you are crystal clear on your ideal client. If you are not crystal clear on your ideal client, let me know what your hesitation is. What is it that you're finding yourself? Where are some areas that you're finding yourself stuck? What are some things that you feel like you aren't doing, or the distraction where you're unable to really identify your ideal client? Let me know. Let me know so that I can, of course, implement some of those things today, but that's so that I can better support you. Because again, I want to talk about your ideal client and how to get clarity on your ideal client. Are your coaching programs speaking directly to the ideal client? Do you know who your ideal client is, right? Because keep in mind, I tell you ladies all the time that the ideal client and the avatar is not the same thing. Okay, the ideal client and the avatar is not the same thing. And so the moment that you have that very clear understanding of the two, then it'll make it a lot easier for you to speak to your ideal client in your marketing or in your copy. Okay, so just to kind of talk a little bit more, it looks like Jill says I'm pretty clear, but keeping my copy in line is challenging. Okay, so Jill, answer me this, because Jill is the sales coach, right? And so she supports other coaches in helping them sell their programs, teaching them how to sell their programs. So answer me this, Jill, why is it challenging to stay in line with your copy? Let me know that. Tell me, why do you feel it's challenging to keep your copy in line? And so anyone else who's in the community, let me know. I want to know if you're having a hard time with your ideal client, if you feel your ideal client is super clear, because here are some things that I had to realize with my ideal client. When I first started coaching, of course, we all started coaching from what? Our avatar, right? We're all taught in marketing, but we're going through those marketing strategies, depending on how far in detail you do or you go into your marketing strategies. We're all taught the whole, avatar. Draw out your avatar. We go as far as naming your avatar. What you're doing is you are highlighting one of the top 3 marketing segmentations, right? So the one marketing segmentation that we're most fluently taught is the demographics. We're taught their salary, we're taught their age, we're taught, if they graduated from college, we're taught if they have children, if they're married. This is how most of us define the avatar. This is how we really start creating that ideal client that we want to work with. Well, here's the thing. You pinpoint some of the demographics, which is very important because you do want to know their salary. You do want to know their housing, situation. You want to know if they're married. You want to know these different things, but you also want to know their geographics. Where do they live? Right? You want to know where they live. Where are they from? Do they live in the suburbs? Are they in a rural area? Where are your clients? Right? You want to be able to identify that, whether or not they're in the state that you're in, whether or not they're in another state. How is your client currently living? Why does this matter? This all matters because it really plays a huge deal on their spending patterns. When you know who your ideal client is, it's a huge help because it helps you really understand your client's spending habits, what they have saved away, how they, whether or not they have access to more income. This is how you're able to see that. And so you sitting down to really identify the demographics and the geographics of your ideal client, while we do really focus on, I'm sorry, I just got a message on Facebook. But so I want you to keep in mind that while you are focusing on the demographics and the geographics of your ideal client is super important because it helps you recognize their spending patterns, right? Let me check what Jill said. I think I'm pretty clear. Okay. I think it's because I work with clients who get different outcomes. Okay. So here's the thing with that. I'm going to make sure I stick a pin in that so I can go back to that because that's really good. the different outcomes is very similar to the different behaviors of our ideal client, right? So what we do, we're taught that the demographics, the geographics tell us the salary, tell us the career. In my niche certification program, I dig a little deeper. I ask a lot more invasive questions about the ideal client, only so that you can get a better understanding. Keep in mind, these questions is going to help you understand better whether or not your client is going to invest. At what level will they invest? So my ideal client, will they pay $12.97 for a program? Yes, they will, because $12.97, they understand the value in what they're receiving once they invest that $12.97. Well, that was based off of me sitting down and doing my due diligence with identifying the demographics, identifying the geographics, those top 2 marketing segmentations that we learn once we launch our businesses. Okay, so now we've learned the demographics, right? We know their salary. And for those of you who have not taken the time, you're just getting started, because I have quite a few startup coaches in here who are ready to start, and I'm super excited for you. I encourage you to meet me inside of my niche certification program, because that's where I can really help you. My ABC identity chart has 26 questions asking you about your avatar, right? And so here's why I say avatar at this stage, because right now you're only structuring a potential client. So you haven't worked with anyone yet. The reason why there's a difference between the avatar and the ideal client is because the avatar, again, is a mold. This is what you're projecting to work with. This is a potential client. Well, the ideal client is the actual person that you've actually worked with. The ideal client is the person who has very similar qualities, and they're very familiar. There's a pattern that you've been able to see in a certain amount of clients, or even within yourself. So the ideal client is more so the working client versus the avatar, who's just that framework of what you would want a client to look like. So back to Jill, she said that they have different outcomes. This put me in the mind of the behaviors. You have to make sure that you specify the struggle. So if your client, if you're a confidence coach, if you're a relationship coach, if you're, whatever type of coach you are, when you sit down to identify the struggles that they're currently going through, we all know that they're going to act out these struggles differently. Does this make sense? So say, for instance, you're a relationship coach and your specialty is communication, right? Your one of the pain points, or one of the struggles that your client is currently going with, is lack of communication with their spouse. Well, their behavior to that problem, they may reflect that behavior in a different way. So whether or not it's, hanging up on their spouse when they get upset, whether or not it's shutting them out, closing down to them, not talking to them. These are all different behaviors. The reason why the copy doesn't change with the struggle is because the struggles are all pretty much the same. The behaviors may be different. So when it comes to Jill, and she's saying that the clients have different outcomes, which is a great thing. They have different results. They're able to see different results. You're still able to see the same problem. And so when we're creating copy, we want to make sure we're focusing on the problem. We want to be able to speak to that problem and say, hey, I understand that this is what this person could be experiencing. And the reason is because, again, that problem is pretty consistent. Now, how that problem reenacts, or how they're able to, how they live through that problem, that definitely may be different. How someone goes through your program, the results that they receive are definitely going to be different. But we have to stay consistent in the problem that we're talking to in the actual copy, right? Does this make sense? Here, let me see something. Does this make sense for you guys? So again, we're talking about the ideal client, and if your coaching program is currently speaking to your ideal client. Okay, is your coaching program currently speaking to your ideal client? And are you super clear on your coaching program? Are you super clear on your ideal client? Is your ideal client super clear to you? Are you speaking to your ideal client in your copy? Okay, cool. So back to whether or not your coaching program speaks to your ideal client. Here is something that I want you to think about. When you are designing a program, your program is not for anyone who wants to sign up for it, right? I think that's where we get lost. I think that's where we start. That's where the hiccup comes in, is because we launch a program and we're like, then again, I don't know why I always use relationship coaches, but I'm a relationship coach. So I'm looking to, this program can help anybody who's in a relationship, right? Wrong. You want to make sure that in your program, you are addressing a specific problem. And so whatever your program, so whether or not it's a 30-day program, whether or not it's a 90-day program, whether or not it's a 6-month program, you want to make sure that you are highlighting whatever problem your client or your ideal client is currently going through in that program, and make sure you're being specific. So again, what we try to do is we try to make this program broad because we want as many people to sign up for it. Say, for instance, you say, you know what? I only want 10 people in this program. Cool. You have to sit down and identify your revenue goal, right? So if your revenue goal is 10,000, then guess what? This program can't be any less than $1,000. Your program goals, the revenue goal or the price of the program, the first thing that you have to figure out is the revenue goal. So think about it. If you're saying, oh, my program is only going to be $500, yet you still want a $10,000 goal, then guess what? You're going to need 20 people in your program. What does that look like? What does getting 20 people into your program look like? Are you able to coach 20 people at one time? Will you still be able to give your clients give them the attention that they need in this program? These are all of the things that you want to. I'm doing good, Kelly. You're going to have to check the beginning of the video so you can learn my story of how this hand. But it's okay. But so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you understand how many people do I need to coach? How many people need to be in my program so that I can not only reach my revenue goal, but that I can still reach results, although they may look different in everybody. And that's another thing. Let me kind of switch gears really quickly with that. Here's what I want you to stop doing, because I did it, right? Keep in mind, I'm not going to share anything with you ladies unless it's something that I experienced. Jill made a great point with this. Everyone's results won't look the same. Okay. Everyone is just like a hairstyle. It's just like an eyebrow arch. How many times have you went to the eyebrow arch, the place, and you pointed out how you wanted your eyebrow to look, and then when you got up, your eyebrow didn't look like that. Right? Because the results are different for different people. And so what I want you to start doing is I want you to highlight these results, but I don't want you to get frustrated when everyone's results don't look the same. Right? Sometimes we expect results to look a certain way. Sometimes we want the whistles and the bells to be bigger than what they really are. But we have to start accepting people's results where they are. What do I mean? So some of you are not money coaches. Some of you aren't selling anything, right? So if your client is saying, oh my gosh, your program helped me really look at myself differently, then you need to embrace that result. While someone else may say, oh my gosh, your program really helped me change my whole perspective, buy a house, move south, like all these different things. You cannot weigh both of those results the same. What we're looking at are the results, right? What we're looking at and what we're measuring is the transformation. And so I want you to keep that in mind, because a lot of times when we start talking about results, when they all aren't looking, the same, then we start getting worried or start thinking that maybe I'm not doing something right, or maybe this isn't it. And you need to really start looking at this and saying, okay, what are the results that I'm supposed to bring my client? Because they're all not going to look the same. But this is why you have to be clear on who the ideal client is, right? Because once you understand that this client of mine has this specific problem, then I know that the strategies that I'm providing is going to yield a result. It may look differently, but I know a result is going to come. Right? And then, of course, you want to be able to look at what those results are. How long did it take for them to get these results? Because, again, those all come into play when you really know who your ideal client is. Here's another thing that you want to consider when we're talking about, is your coaching program for your ideal client? Do they know what problem you're going to solve for them? Here's something else I want you to take into consideration. Some people learn differently. Some people apply information differently. This is why you have to know who the ideal client is and be clear on the psychographics of the ideal client, meaning their hobbies, their behaviors, their struggles. Why am I saying that? Because say for instance, you're super broad with your ideal client. You're like, I'm here to coach women between the age 25 and 65 who may be single, may be married, like you're super vague with it. And so you have these people enrolling into your programs, but guess what? They're not doing the work. Guess what? They're not showing up. Guess what? They're not yielding results, right? So now you're going to have to go back through this ideal client and go through this checklist again and continue to refine the ideal client. So keep in mind, your ideal client is constantly growing. It's constantly evolving. It's growing with you, because the more that you grow in your coaching business, the more that you grow as a coach, then guess what? The more the ideal client is going to evolve. So you want to sit down and you want to ask yourself this. Does my coaching program speak directly to my ideal client? Am I solving a specific problem? Right? Do I know how to create content that's going to solve a specific problem? Do I understand what solving a specific problem means? Because a lot of times, again, we'll create this general idea of what we're doing, and we're thinking, or we're, assuming that we're solving a specific problem, but we're really not. So I want you to take the moment and say, while I'm offering my programs, while I'm offering my one-on-one coaching, while I'm offering my group coaching, am I being specific in what I'm going to help my client do? Right? Am I being specific? One of the things that we're doing in the program to profit, the 30-day accelerator, is I'm helping you create content. So whether or not you're a relationship coach, whether or not you are a self-care coach, whether or not you are a purpose coach, whatever type of coach you are, I want to teach you how to create content that solves a specific problem versus just creating good content. Right? And then we know that once we identify the specific problem that we solve for our ideal client, now what does this do? It increases our engagement. It increases your sales. It increases your participation. It increases. Why? Because you're being specific. When I'm sharing content, I'm talking about a specific problem. So here are a few reasons why some of us still struggle with the ideal client. First of all, it's a lot. Like, it takes a lot of trial and error. It takes a lot of you really working with clients to know who your ideal client is as well. In my niche certification program, there's field work that's required. And so the coaches have to do, practice coaching so that they can really see, okay, what type of coaching do I enjoy doing? Do I enjoy doing one-on-one coaching? Do I enjoy doing group coaching? This type of experience gives you the opportunity to really define what? It gives you the opportunity to really define who your ideal client is. So the more people you work with, I will say that the more people you work with, the better it is for you to identify. I can speak with a client in a sales call and I can say, yep, this is an ideal client. Why? Because I can hear the language. I can hear the tenacity. I can hear the fire. I can hear results in the conversation. Right? So you want to ask yourself, are your coaching programs speaking directly to your ideal client? Is it clear? Are you clear when it comes to the ideal client? Like I said, I offer an ABC identity chart that helps you walk through certain questions. I want to know what your mama do. Okay? I want to know what your daddy do. I want to know what type of housing were you raised in? Why? Because this all plays a huge part in whether or not this client is going to show up, right? Yes, their salary means a big deal, but I want to see some sort of work history. Like, I want to see what this person does. What has this person, what is my idea of what this person is doing so that I can see whether or not this person is going to show up and bring results into my program. Right? Because listen, the coaching program isn't just for the client, it's for you as well. It's your opportunity to, make it better, to get clarity, to see if you need to tweak some things. And it's hard for you to do those things if your client isn't showing up. So now, again, this is that trial and error. This is where you're gathering new clients and you're seeing how, your program works with this client. Although the results may be a little different, it's helping you get a better idea on who the ideal client is. So pay attention. I want you to start paying attention to the clients that you never want to work with again. What are some of the characteristics of that client? I want you to pay attention on the clients that you absolutely love. What are the characteristics of this client? What about the clients that just pay you without even second guessing? What are the characteristics of these clients? These are certain things that we need to start paying attention to. Now, if you're like, Latoya, but I haven't had any clients, then this is the time where that avatar, remember we talked about that avatar, is super important, because this is where we're going to start structuring the ideal client. We're like, okay, listen, well, my ideal client has to look like this. And then we're going to start going out and we're going to start looking for people who fit that avatar so that we can start introducing our products to them, introducing our services to them so that we can connect with them, create conversations, right? Create conversations so that you can really work with them and learn whether or not they are the ideal client. Make sense? So listen, I just wanted to jump on tonight and talk a little bit with you about your ideal client and how important it is for you to know who your ideal client is. If someone is not signing up with you or purchasing your services, I don't want you to get upset. I don't want you to get offended. They may not be ready for what you have, or they may not be your ideal client, and that's okay, right? That's okay. That's okay. And so I want you to just take the time tonight, over the next couple of days, over the next couple of days, so that we can sit down and really kind of figure out, are my coaching programs speaking directly to my ideal client? Do I know how to build a coaching program that speaks to my ideal client? Do I know how to address their issue? Again, if you are not speaking directly to the problem of your ideal client, then it's going to be really hard for them to connect with you and want to purchase your services or your programs. So this takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of trial and error. I know that, we have some coaches who can come in and they say, hey, listen, I can have you fixed and you should be turning clients overnight. And some clients do. Again, the results are different for the person, depending on how much work they put into it, depending on what season it is. I teach about seasons all the time. All of these things really play a huge deal on whether or not you jump into the game converting clients or not. How much time are you committing to learning who your ideal client is? How much time are you committing to building a program that is specific to the need or to the problem of your ideal client? How much time are you putting in to understand content or design content that will be that will connect with the ideal client? Right? So again, I wanted to jump on tonight just to share a few strategies with you on your ideal client and whether or not your coaching program is speaking directly to your ideal client. Now, keep in mind, today is September 1st. I am going to be launching this is going to be the first week of our assignments, our pre-work for the Program to Profit 30-Day Accelerator. I'm already behind because of this terrible wasp sting, but it's okay. We're going to get it together. And so those coaches who are already signed up for the 30-Day Accelerator, you will be receiving your homework assignment your first pre-work assignment this week. So make sure you check your mailbox, your email. For those of you still have time to register. I have 3 more seats available at $12.97. Once those 3 seats are filled, then it will go up to $14.97, and I know those 3 seats will fill. So go ahead and secure your spot so that you can get into this pre-work, because we're starting this week. You should have information. You should have all of your strategies and what you're supposed to be working on coming to your inbox this week. It is time to kick off. So I hope you ladies are ready, because I'm super excited. I love the Program to Profit 30-Day Accelerator. It keeps the coaches on fire. It lights a fire up under their butt like never before. And so I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about the programs that are to launch. Not only am I launching, are we doing this Program to Profit, but over in my niche certification community, we doing the Coach My Life Volume 3. Like, we right in the middle of writing a book right now. So I'm working with them. Then I'm working with my coaches in my program to profit. Then I got some of my independent coaching going on. Let's work. It's time to work. This WASP thing cannot hold me down. I couldn't even type yesterday. My fingers wouldn't move, right? But I'm back. I'm good. And I'm super excited. So listen, you still have time to go ahead and join me for the Program to Profit 30-Day Accelerator. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link into the group so that you can go ahead and secure your spot. Listen, if you are ready to build a program, and let me tell you about this program. Kelly's on here. Kelly was in the last 30-day, in the last Program to Profit. Let me tell you about this program. The system that I teach you is a system that you can go back and use over and over and over and over again. Like, it's not something that you use one time and it becomes disposable. No, this is a system that you can use in your coaching business over and over and over and over again. Every time you get ready to sit down and build content, you use my 4 steps program building system. And this is going to help you create a program that is going to convert your ideal client. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. I teach you about copy. How many of us have a hard time with copy where you don't know what to say to your client, to the ideal client? You don't know what to say to them to get into your programs. How many of us struggle with copy? How many of us struggle with marketing? How many of us struggle with knowing what type of content to put into the program, right? What about pricing? How do you know how to price your program? What's a good price? Where are you undervaluing yourself? Are you undervaluing yourself? Right? Are you sitting down and thinking through some of these major concepts of building your program so that not only it sells, but that you yield the results that you know it could yield? So I dropped the link in the comments. I have 3 spots left at the $12.97 investment. Some of you have been just waiting and just twiddling your thumbs, wondering if you should do it. And this is your sign to press go. Okay? Because I'm excited and we're going to get started with our pre-work this week. So I want to get you in this email. I don't want you to be behind. So go ahead, click the link. Go ahead and message me, Sandra. That's cool. Go ahead, click the link, and I'll see you ladies inside of the pre-work because it's time to do the pre-work for the 30-day accelerator. Cool. Love you ladies. Thank you for rocking out with me on this Tuesday night. It is raining here. I don't know how it is where you are, but I'm going to log off now so that I can get these emails out for the pre-work for the Program to Profit 30-day accelerator. Have a fantastic Tuesday night, and I'll see you ladies inside of the community.